Hey everybody, it's Marfo with Voland Outdoors. We're continuing our series on So You Got a Bow for Christmas, Now What? This is being made for Casey, who just reported, he's a new subscriber, and he reported that he got a new recurve bow. So we're continuing to work on things you need to do, things you need to work on the day you get your first recurve bow. And Casey, some of the other things I haven't told you yet, because this is only the second video, is this. You're going to be using muscles, neck muscles, all your trapezius muscles, probably for the first time in your life, unless you lift weights and you're doing shoulders and other things for your traps. Unless you're doing pull-ups galore, you don't use those back muscles for anything except drawing and holding a bow. And now you're holding a recurve bow for the very first time. And a recurve bow is not a compound bow. It doesn't let off at full draw. That's 45, 50, 55 pounds that you're holding. You're going to feel it. So take it easy on yourself. Try to shoot for the next couple of weeks. Try to go out almost daily, at least 3-4 times a week. You want to be going out and shooting 6 arrows at a time. Shoot 5 rounds, 5 ends they call them. Why they call them ends is anybody's guess. Let's call them a round because everybody else does. Shoot 5 rounds of 6, that's 30 arrows. Expect the first 10, the first 6. The first round is going to suck. Your muscles are waking up. They sucks for everybody. That's why there's always a warm-up at a competition. Then the next 6, and if you're lucky, 6, the next 18 arrows might actually feel pretty good, but your muscles are going to start to fatigue right then. Whatever consistency you had in that second set of 6 arrows, the third round of 6, your muscles are going to start fatiguing. Your finger muscles are going to start fatiguing. Your neck muscles are going to start fatiguing. Your arm holding the bow up is going to start to fatigue, and you're going to start to wobble. It happens to everybody. Archery, especially recurve archery, longbow archery, any form of barebow archery, even Olympic archery, is a perishable skill. You can be gone from this sport for a week and you will feel it in your muscles. Just like with golf. Golfers have to golf nearly every day or they lose that edge. Same thing happens with archers. You want to be out on a regular basis, every other day for the next couple of weeks until you start to become proficient. You have to take it easy on yourself, Casey. When you're first shooting, you're going to have 6 bad arrows, then you're going to have 6 good ones, 6 maybe really good ones, 6 kind of good ones, and then you don't know what you're going to get after that. Those muscles are going to start to fatigue. You're going to start releasing even when you don't want to. Take it easy on yourself. If you don't put in 3 good weeks, 21 days of going out at least every other day for as long as it takes to shoot 5 rounds of 6, to shoot 30 arrows, those muscles aren't going to wake up. They're not going to start getting stronger. But if you do put the time in, what you will start to see is you only need 3 arrows to start to warm up. And then you're going to have 6 really good arrows, 6 really good arrows, 6 really good arrows, 6 really good arrows, and then it's going to start to fatigue. But by then you've already shot what? You shot 30, 36, 42 arrows. That's doing pretty good. So keep that in mind. Take it easy on yourself, but start pacing that you want to get out there and be regularly shooting every other day, and you want to shoot 30 arrows, somewhere in that vicinity. 5 rounds of 6 arrows, something like that. You got to wake those muscles up, tell them that you're serious about this sport called recurve archery, barebow archery. Make those muscles start to work. The back of your delts, your trapezius muscles, they all fall into play, and you need them. Now let's go back to the lesson at hand. You're going to shoot at an empty bag at 10 yards, 10 meters. There's only about a yard difference between the two at 10 yards. 10 meters is about 10 plus 1, about 11 yards, right around in there. There is no need for you to go beyond 20, out to 20 yards or 25 or 30 or 35 or 40 or 50 until you can take all 6 of your arrows and put them in a pie plate at 10 yards. So your 10-yard target is your best friend because it's going to help you get your 30 arrows in every other day or more often. You're going to wake up, by the way, you're going to wake up the next day with a sore neck. like this. Those muscles, they've never been used before, so if you get a stiff neck, you're on the right track. Give yourself a little stretch. You're going to go to the range the next time, and you're going to see guys my age that we haven't shot in 2 weeks. We're going to be going through it. Your muscles start to I don't want to say decompose or atrophy, but the atrophied probably is the best term to use here. It's a perishable skill. You can be gone for a week, gone for 2 weeks, and you will feel it. You'll see guys come back after 3 months, and they're shooting like they haven't even shot a bow before, ever. And if they get lucky, they get 5 or 6, good shots, lucky them. But after that, it starts to degrade. You got to come out on a regular basis to stay sharp. Back to this. You're going to only practice on a 10-yard, 10-meter bag. Everything you need to learn about this sport can absolutely be learned at 10 yards. And if you try to do it out to 20, you're just going to spend time looking for lost arrows. If you try it at 30, try it at 40, you're going to spend more time looking for lost arrows and less time actually hitting the target, getting stronger muscles, learning the 5-step shooting method on how to aim. So just don't do it. Plus 10 yards is oftentimes can be found in your backyard, although I would caution you publicly against it. Unless you live out in the country and you don't have any neighbors on the backyard, backing up to you, if you live in the suburbs like I do not use your backyard. Technically, legally, you can shoot in your backyard. But the moment that arrow leaves your property, the moment you get even one ricochet and that arrow lands in somebody else's yard, you are in a world of shit that you cannot believe. Do not take the chance. Look around for a local archery place that you're going to go shoot at. Find some other people to shoot with. Make it a part of something that you do on a weekly basis. Back to the 5-step method. Yesterday I assumed that you had around a 40-pound bow. So at 10 yards, you're going to be using a 3-finger gap. Now I wanted you to get started right away, but I didn't explain. But I didn't explain what the gap is and what string walking is. If you take a compound bow at full draw, they anchor in one particular place and they raise and lower the front of the bow to change the elevation of the arrow, to change the range the arrow flies. With string walking, you're fixing the front and you're instead rotating the back up and down, changing the elevation of the arrow, hence you're changing the range. And that range can vary quite wildly. It can vary all the way from 5 meters all the way out to as much with a 50-pound bow. A 100-meter shot is not uncommon at all. You see the target out there. I'm the one that's shooting at it. We do that by adjusting something that we call the gap. You'll hear other people call it the crawl. Why you would call a unit of measure that's a distance a crawl, I have no idea. I'm trying to make this sport understandable, comprehensible, so I'm going to use terms that make sense. It's a gap between the nocking point of the arrow and the drawing point of your index finger. Why? Because your index finger is going to be anchored under your chin. So if you vary that gap, you're actually varying the elevation of the arrow and you're varying the distance the arrow travels. And yeah, you see a 3-finger gap because it is possible. 3 fingers over the arrow. It's crazy. I often shoot 2 to go out to 100 yards, 100 meters. But you're going to spend most of your time actually under the arrow like this, with a maximum of about a 3-finger gap. That's going to put you at about 5 yards. And then you're going to find out that for every 1-finger change in that gap, you're going to change in your distance about 20 yards. So this is going to give you about a 10-yard gap, or a 10-yard distance. 1 finger up is going to go 30, 1 finger up is going to go 50, 1 finger up is going to go 70. Now I bottomed out here, a 0 gap between the nocking point of the arrow and the drawing point of my index finger is 0. That's my 0 gap is around a 70-yard shot. So 1 finger over puts me at 90, and 1 finger over puts me at 110. And these are all possible. So that's what the gap is. That's what string walking does. You're walking your fingers on the string to change that gap. That gap anchored underneath your chin like an Olympic archer is what's going to give you various elevations, various distances that you shoot. Let's take a shot going through that 5-step method once. Shooting at the bag. Step 1, choose your gap. In other words, determine the range your arrow is going to shoot by setting the elevation. You set the elevation by choosing the gap. 1, 2, 3 fingers. Step 2 is going to be draw back and anchoring under your chin. Step 3 is going to be looking down the left edge of that bowstring like it's a sight, a rear sight. Step 4 is going to be putting the tip of your arrow right smack on the target, not above it, not below it, not to the left, not to the right, straight right on the dead center of the bag. Step 5, this is crucial. This is where you introduce as little error as possible. You make a small motion release, tiny, not like this. You'll see all kinds of people doing back tension techniques, etc. Let's make it simple. Just let your fingers relax, make a small motion release. You're trying to mimic the mechanical release that compound archers have. We're trying to mimic a lot of stuff that compound bows have. We're trying to mimic having a rear peep sight. We're trying to mimic having a front sight. We're trying to mimic looking straight over the top of the arrow to remove any left to right error that could be introduced by anchoring way over here on your cheek. You're automatically introducing error into your shot. Why would you do that? Compound archers don't do that. Olympic archers don't do that. Only string walk, only barebow archers, instinctive archers, think they have to go over here and anchor off to their cheek. And absolutely introduce error from the moment they touch the bow. They're introducing error in their shot at every single distance. Nobody else does that, so we're not going to. We're going to use a 5-step, simple to learn, terribly effective Voigtland shooting method. Step 1, choose your gap. Step 2, draw back and anchor under your chin. What does that give you? It means I'm looking right over the top of the arrow, you guys. That's what it means. Not off to the side like this, where I'm looking at you, the camera lens, and my arrow is pointing way off to the side. Why would I do that? Like I said, compound archers don't do that. They look right through a peep sight that's right in their bowstring, straight down the top of the arrow. So do Olympic archers. They use the left edge of the bowstring to look down. They make a rear peep sight. Step 2, draw back and anchor under your chin. 3, look down that left edge of the bowstring. That's your rear sight. Step 4, put the tip of the arrow right smack on the center of your target. That's your front sight. Step 5, small motion release. Oh, it's getting cold out. All right, Casey, you've got what you need. Practice, practice, practice this at 10 yards until you can put all of your shots into a paper plate like this. If you start to see some variance, let me know. Chat me and tell me what's going on, if they're shifting over to one side or not. It could be that your rest needs a little bit of adjusting to go that way. If your arrows are all shooting to the left, then chances are your rest is also too far to the left. Turn it in, turn it to the right. Similarly, if your shots are all landing too far to the right and you're right-handed, then chances are this rest is turned in too far. Turn it out. A good rule of thumb is this: line your bowstring up with the center line of the handle. That's the symmetry. That center line of the handle is a center line with this hole is a center line with the limb. The whole bow is symmetric down that center line. So line this bowstring up with the center of the handle, and the center of the rest, the arrow rest itself, should fall right on that exact same line. If it's not, if it's too far to this side, move it in. If it's too far to this side, turn it out. Very, very simple. If you look at mine right now, if I line everything up, you will see my rest is exactly in line with my bowstring and the center line of my handle. All that geometry makes sense, and we want archery to make sense for you, so check that out. But that'll be in another episode. Go practice, practice, practice. Get strong, get strong, get strong, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cut.